1973 was only 4 years after the first moon landing, but as quickly as NASA was cranking out new missions after that, it became a common thing to hear that a new crew was heading there. Things got a little more cautious after Apollo 13, and the program was completed with Apollo 17. The space program got trimmed down a lot while the country focused on other things, such as Vietnam and Watergate. It wouldn't be until 1981 that space exploration resumed with the first space shuttle flight.
At Cape Courageous, America's 20th manned launch to the moon is ready for blastoff.
Except in this world. In the Super Friends universe, we're still at it a year after the program shut down. Well, by now NASA should be good enough to pull off another launch, even if they are at the wrong Cape. This is not what I meant. The launch seems to be going smoothly. The Super Friends are as excited to watch it as everyone else.
Mission control to Hermes 20. All systems are go. Stand by for moon trajectory.
All systems A-OK.
Roger. Execute final correction.
Perfect. I couldn't have done better myself.
Everything right on the button.
Those CRT monitors do wear out, you know, or check to see if somebody tripped over the plug. It's not just their picture that's being affected. The controllers at NASA can't see a thing either. As a rule, they don't actually watch the rocket going up. They watch the instruments, both on board and elsewhere, that track it. Images like we used to see came from broadcast TV cameras, not from NASA itself. But none of the above are helping the ground crew right now.
Suddenly, the missile breaks from its orbital path and rockets back toward Earth.
Isn't this getting a little heavy for kids on Saturday morning? I suppose this is what they get for using an old Gemini capsule instead of the 3-man Apollo craft. Scratch 2 astronauts.
Survival following impacts such as this would appear impossible. Yet, the astronauts have survived.
Or not. They may have bonked their heads pretty hard, though, because rather than try to contact NASA, they walk off and just disappear.
We're getting a CDQ from the SDI.
They want to know why you're clear out there on that RFD. The colonel reports that the astronauts are missing. I guess we know what he wants from the Super Friends. Get out there and help clean up the mess. While they're trying to figure out what happened to those guys, Robin has found the capsule's black box. Not that it needs one, everything is captured and recorded by ground control, but Saturday morning viewers may not have known that. So just play the tape, Robin.
This is Dr. Rebos. You are all witness to my great powers. Now I warn you, all space exploration must stop, or you will suffer the consequences.
Dr. Rebos. I wonder if he knows about the upcoming top-secret Venus probe.
Furthermore, your top-secret Venus probe will be next.
Dr. Rebos uses smart tape players. They pick up your question and automatically fast forward to the answer. He invented it himself, but couldn't afford the fee to patent it. I know the feeling.
The fact that Dr. Rebos has chosen to destroy our Venus probe is quite convenient.
Holy misnomers. Why convenient?
Because Clark Kent has just been given an assignment to do a television report on the Venus space probe.
And while Clark Kent gets that story, Superman will guard that operation?
Exactly.
I was surprised to see that everyone knows Clark Kent is Superman. Do they know who Batman is too? I guess I'll have to keep watching the series to find out. Well, shucks.
Now, while I get my story, you kids in Wonder Dog can look around the place and have fun. Maybe you can do a term paper on it.
Can't we just have fun?
Fair question. And Clark says term paper the way my mother used to. I'd burst out laughing every time she said it.
This, of course, is the brain center of any space launching operation. If there were going to be any sabotage, this would be the likely place.
What about security precautions?
They're tight. Guards all around the installation.
Not many people know that before he went into broadcasting, Ron Burgundy worked for NASA. Superman can't find any holes in their security.
Okay, Loco. When I count to 3, we put on our disguises. 1, 2, 3. Well, why didn't you put on your disguise?
I wasn't sure, Dr. Rebos, that 3 came after 2. I always thought it came before 4.
Never mind. Just put on your disguise.
But they will. And don't despair, Loco. We all have trouble figuring out which direction we're going from time to time.
And now, to disguise the car.
Hey, Detroit, why don't we have those yet?
You're Wonder Dog, aren't you? Nobody could mistake your princely head, your finely chiseled nose, your stubby tail. Quickly, Wonder Dog, let's have a shot of your best profile.
Wonder Dog is sitting out there because he lost his top secret pass and the guard won't let him pass the gate. Rebos takes several pictures of him and then gives him an award.
On behalf of Bow Wow Magazine, it gives me great pleasure to present this plaque to Wonder Dog, voted this year's Dog of the Year.
Hooray! Oh, just a second. This says Cat of the Year.
I know, Master, but this was the only plaque the store had. They were fresh out of Dog of the Year.
That sounds authentic, all right. A little more verbal smog and they take off.
Boy, Wonder Dog, wait till we tell you what we saw.
To Wonder Dog, Cat of the Year.
Is this some kind of joke?
Bow Wow Magazine? Never heard of it.
Who gave you this award?
Fooled you, there is no Bow Wow Magazine. Rebos takes his pictures to his lab, which is housed at an auto wrecking yard. That's how he finances his work, I guess.
Little by little, Dr. Rebus's plan begins to unfold. Somehow, someway, androids, robots that look and act like people, play a part in his diabolical scheme. It becomes possible to understand how 2 astronauts could have escaped that terrible crash. They were androids.
Body,
Body,
head,
head,
wrench.
wrench.
If you can't figure out who his next subject is, turn in your secret radio ring.
Ladies and gentlemen androids, we are about to pass the world-famous Cape Courageous space installation, where in moments the scheduled Venus probe will be sabotaged. Thank you very much. That'll be all. That will be all, Loco.
Now, remember all the guff they gave Wonder Dog for not having a special pass? A whole busload of humans isn't a threat. One dog with a cape, on the other hand. The fake Wonder Dog gets out, wanders into the control building, sneaks into the right room, and starts yanking wires.
But one more button, and the sabotage of the Venus probe will be an accomplished fact. That is, the famous Don't Press button.
In the 70s, we were being meta without knowing it was called that.
You, sir, are a traitor to your super friends and a traitor to your country.
Colonel, those are very serious charges.
That man, single-handedly, that dog has sabotaged our Venus probe.
But Colonel Wilcox, Wonder Dog is the most loyal dog in the world.
Tell him where Wonder Dog was when all this happened, as in right here with a room full of unimpeachable witnesses.
Loyal to whom? Us or the enemy?
He couldn't have done it. I'll bet a year's allowance on it.
Wonder Dog was seen at 0900 entering the top-secret control room by countless workers. And right after that, the computers and panels went up in smoke.
Holy airtight evidence, Batman.
Let me introduce you to something else airtight, his alibi. Why isn't anybody talking about the fact that he was with them when that happened?
There must be another explanation, Colonel.
There is no other possible explanation. Wonder Dog is a double agent.
No!
He couldn't be.
How much dog food did it take to buy you off? See? He admits to doing it for nothing.
I'm sorry, Colonel Wilcox, but even in the face of your proof, we still believe that Wonder Dog is innocent. In time, I know we'll get to the bottom of this.
I may need to go scream into a pillow soon. Tell them where he really was.
Time! There is no time. We've just received a threatening call from Dr. Rebos, which we've taped.
Let's hear it, Colonel.
We will, just as soon as that double agent leaves the room.
What is wrong with everybody? And by the way, Colonel, you're talking about a dog. Think about that.
Just a second, Wonder Dog. We're going with you.
All right, Super Friends, listen to this.
Super friends, you have disregarded my warning, and so I had to sabotage your Venus probe.
Do you suppose he knows about the upcoming manned launch to Mars?
Your upcoming manned launch to Mars is next.
Manned launch? 50 years later, we still haven't even attempted that. If I'm still around when we do, I really want to go, but I doubt they'll accept my application.
Holy countdowns. If that's sabotaged, our nearly completed space station on Mars will be in jeopardy.
Unless you call a complete halt to your space program forever.
Of all the dirty lowdown.
This is not dirty and low down. My reasons are...
Excuse me. 5 cents for the next 3 minutes, please.
If you've never experienced that, be grateful. In the heyday of payphones, it happened to a lot of people. You could drop a dime in the phone and call someone, but nothing in the booth would tell you that your 10 cents only bought you 3 minutes of call time. If you went over, you got that. It only happened to me once, and when the operator broke in and asked for more money, I ignored it. I finished the call and hung up, and the phone immediately rang. I answered, and the operator said, "You went overtime. You still owe me another 10 cents. I answered with something my sister taught me. I'd rather owe it to you than cheat you out of it. Not very nice, but I hope it was memorable.
This is a diagram of our space station on Mars. Here is the space lab, which will house 5 astronauts when completed. And over here will be a launching pad designed for further probes deeper into the universe.
If we're only just doing manned missions, who built all that?
If tomorrow's testing of the Mars missile engine is successful, we will be able to complete the space station within the year.
Okay, so this isn't the early stages of manned trips. We've been at it for a while. I want to know why the networks never reported this. I know they didn't. I was there.
Any questions?
Holy remote control. Look, the tape machine has started all by itself.
All right, operator. I got some change at the candy store.
Thank you, sir. Please continue your call.
Now, where was I? Oh, yes. You will never get to test your Mars missile engine. I, Dr. Rebos, promise you that.
He ran off to get more change for that. But the Colonel shouldn't have anything to worry about. After all, he expelled Wonder Dog, so that should take care of everything, right?
Let's do it scientifically, Marvin. Now, what time was he supposed to have been seen at the space installation?
At 0900 hours.
Well, at 0700, Wonder Dog was sleeping. I know that because his snoring woke me up.
And at 0800, he had breakfast. I know that because I went out to buy him the pizza.
And at 0900, he was still in the house because of a stomachache he got from eating the pizza too fast. I know that because I gave him the medicine to settle his stomach.
Then it couldn't have been Wonder Dog at the space installation.
Let me reduce it to one-syllable words for you, kids. He was with us. That's all you need to tell the Colonel to blow his theory to pieces. Honestly, everybody was protesting his innocence, but apparently nobody in the room was familiar with the word alibi. Meanwhile, the Super Friends are on the job. Aquaman is taking care of potential attacks from the water.
The swordfish come to Aquaman's aid. With seaweed for thread, the swordfish perform as huge needles. A net is quickly woven. Nature's barrier, protecting the space installation from invasion by sea.
Seaweed. That's going to be strong enough to stop a submarine or other underwater vehicle? I've spent a lot of time around seaweed. I'm not as sure as he is. The other Super Friends have taken up positions around the base. It's as secure as they can make it. Marvin and Wendy have sussed out that there's a double of Wonder Dog. They just have to find it.
Marvin, he's chasing that car.
Just another false alarm, Wendy. I'm sure his double isn't driving it.
We just can't take any chances. Come on, let's go after him before we lose him.
He doesn't have time to explain it to them, but he recognizes the guys who gave him that phony award. He realizes that since they're the only other people in this cartoon, they have to be the bad guys. Too bad for Wendy and Marvin that 4 legs are faster than 2, so all they know is he went into the wrecking yard. From there, they lost him.
Wendy, look! There he is!
Wonder Dog, where'd you go? We lost you.
Did you find your double? There he goes again!
Come on! Good work, Wonder Dog. Let's get him, Marvin.
They've had Wonder Dog trying to track his double with his nose all this time, so naturally they're going to grab the one that's still using his nose instead of asking a few questions first.
Now we've got you!
Listen, Double, don't give us any of those double looks. And none of that double talk either.
Well, that's not what he says.
Marvin, we've been taken.
Here's a quick way to tell if he's the double. Try to unscrew his head. If it comes off, you have the duplicate. If it bites you, it's Wonder Dog.
This is Dr. Rebos. If the coast is clear, proceed now through the protective net and sabotage the Mars missile engine.
I need to get me some of that seaweed and build a fence to keep my dog in the backyard. Rebos can't get anything past the Super Friends, so he starts taking pictures again.
Ah, perfect!
I wonder what his next android will look like.
The countdown of the Mars missile engine test will now continue at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition!
The testing of the Mars missile engine goes off without a hitch.
All right, that's 1 in a row. The Super Friends are back at HQ congratulating themselves.
Oh, Wonder Woman, this is a top secret meeting. Have your visitors been cleared with Colonel Wilcox?
These aren't visitors, Aquaman. They're prisoners. I captured them in an attempt to sabotage the Mars missile engine.
Good work, Wonder Woman. Maybe now we'll get to the bottom of this. All right? Your names? Pilot 1.
Pilot 2.
Next question? Find out why they talk funny.
Who is behind this plot to destroy our space program?
Pilot 1.
Pilot 2.
What happened?
Are they dead?
They can't be dead, because they never were alive.
Holy androids!
That's right. Now ask yourselves about Wonder Dog. They won't. For some reason, our crew is having trouble putting thoughts together today. Boys and girls, I suggest you hold off until the end of the day because it's not helping right now.
Dr. Rebos, you've done it! You've created the most powerful force in the world!
I only hope, Loco, I won't have to use him. Maybe the Super Friends will come to their senses.
I wonder what he means by that. How would canceling the space program equal coming to their senses? Their senses about what? And by the way, can your android fly? Can you build his superpowers? The Mars missile is ready for the real thing, and the countdown is proceeding. Dr. Rebos has promised to stop it. He demands that everybody stop going to space.
And now, to disguise the car.
My earlier question still stands, Detroit. Or maybe Elon could actually do something useful for once in his pathetic life instead of taking credit for other people's work. Yeah, sure. I crack myself up sometimes.
Ah, there's a little nip in the air. Maybe Batman would like a hot drink? Coffee, tea, cocoa, chicken soup?
If you don't mind, sir, I'd like to see your catering truck license.
Of course, but it's not as good as my egg salad, huh?
He produces a license that looks real enough to fool Batman.
Is the chicken soup fresh?
But of course, I just opened this can this morning.
Does it get any fresher than that?
I'll try it.
That'll be $2.25.
That's a lot of money for a cup of chicken soup.
Oh, the chicken soup's only a quarter. The rest of the money is a deposit on the spoon.
I guess the cup is disposable, but plastic spoons are hard to come by. Batman is buying all this, and I really don't know why. Next stop, Superman.
Well,
I've got just the thing. A surprise sandwich. Something I'll bet you haven't had in a long time.
I enjoy surprises.
This one you'll never forget. How about a little kryptonite on an onion roll?
As we know, kryptonite is the most common element in the universe. Anybody can find a chunk or make it synthetically like Rebos did and use it on Superman. Scientists will try to tell you hydrogen is more abundant, but they're just trying to protect Superman.
Destroy the Mars missile. Destroy the Mars missile.
Yes, Master.
Okay, let's see what his android can do.
Hiya, Superman.
Good to see you, Superman. With you on the job, nothing can go wrong.
Dr. Rebos's remote control sabotage proves completely effective.
He's walking everywhere, and it took him 2 tries to break down that door. A bit inferior, Doctor. Later, the Super Friends are sitting around their table trying to figure out what happened.
Superman, the workers say that they saw you go into the master control room just before everything went dead.
If they said that, they were mistaken. I was not there.
Funny. That's what they said about Wonder Dog when the Venus probe was sabotaged.
And Wonder Dog claimed he was innocent too. Maybe Superman did not go in there.
They know Rebos uses androids. They learned that from those 2 that Wonder Woman caught. But they're really slow to grasp the implications of that for the current predicament.
Holy positive identifications, Batman. The workers swear they saw him.
Was it Superman or was it his double?
A double? Of course. It all makes sense. Wonder Dog didn't sabotage the Venus probe. It was his double.
An android double. Grab him. He's gone.
Which is to say, you guys have got to learn to do this thinking thing faster, gang.
The one we want is Dr. Rebos.
And we haven't a clue.
Yes, we have. Chicken soup.
Holy cure-alls, Batman. How can you think of food when our whole space program is in jeopardy?
Robin, there was only one stranger in the area. That was the man who drove the catering truck.
Sometimes I think he secretly enjoys doing that to Robin. I know I would. The kids and Wonder Dog are back at the junkyard, still looking for the doggy double.
Gotcha!
Who are you?
I'm Loco.
I get the feeling we named him Loco just for that line, and when it finally came, it sort of fell flat.
Are you really Loco? Or are you Loco's double? Well, I always thought I was Loco. Dr. Rebos always calls me Loco.
Marvin, he said Dr. Rebos. That's the name of the man who's been threatening to destroy our space program.
That's right, Wendy. Now we're really getting somewhere.
Just make sure it's somewhere that you actually want to go.
Would you like to meet Dr. Rebos? Yeah, we sure would.
At long last, somebody can ask why.
What have you got against outer space?
Nothing. But I feel that inner space needs our attention and our money more than outer space.
I don't understand.
It's simple, my young friend. The Earth's poor and sick are sorely in need of help. And what do? We spend billions of dollars to fly to the moon just to collect a few measly rocks and a bag full of moon dust.
He has it in his head that we can't do both, and the space program is taking food out of poor people's mouths. He's wrong. The main thing taking food out of poor people's mouths at that time was corporate indifference, just like it is today. If we took the subsidies that we have given to big oil and others for decades and properly funded programs for the poor, there'd be plenty to do that and explore space. But these are pre-internet days, so maybe Rebos doesn't know that yet.
That's not true. Our exploration of the moon has been of great help to science and medicine.
Not to mention the thousands of jobs created by our space program.
It's a question of what's more important. And I think it's more important to spend the money first on Earth and then in space.
And you're entitled to your feelings. But who elected you to force them onto everyone else?
But money is being spent on the sick and poor. There are all kinds of health and welfare programs.
Not enough to suit me.
It's not enough to suit me either, Doctor, but that's not because of the space program. It's because of money in politics. It's because the almighty dollar becomes more important than people. I'm constantly on my legislators and others to do more for poor people, which is how we do it here. Out there somewhere right now is a guy who disagrees with you. He thinks the space program should be primary. Why is his opinion less important than yours? What happens when every clown with a little money decides to force his view onto the rest of us? Imagine a dozen of this guy all running around trying to push contradicting ideas. Meanwhile, Batman and Robin have spotted the food truck.
We've got them now, Robin. This is a dead-end road. All right, androids. Where's Superman? Superman, we found you.
Toss the kryptonite over that cliff and he's fine in a little bit. The androids are running away.
Hold it, Robin. Save your energy. Our android friends seem to have lost theirs.
Or not. Now we know what part of their construction Rebos got cheap about, the batteries. He's preparing to send his Superman android to Mars to destroy the station there. Meanwhile, the kids and Wonder Dog are locked in a playroom with a lot of toys for young children, which doesn't do them much good. Android Wonder Dog is guarding them. Wendy has an idea.
Android, Wonder Dog is hungry. But that's people food. Wonder Dog needs dog food.
What kind of a dog are you who wouldn't help a fellow dog? I've got a good mind to report you to the SPCA.
That leaves me wondering why Dr. Rebos included the shame circuit in the design. In any case, with him out of the way, they're free to act. There's an android building machine in here for kids to play with.
Let's hope we get the same reaction from the android Wonder Dog.
Here he comes now. Thank you very much, Android Wonder Dog. That was very nice of you. Okay, Poodle, out the window. It worked! It worked!
If they call her Fifi, I think Looney Tunes should sue. The Superman android is ready to go.
Up, up, and away!
Okay, so he did duplicate his ability to fly. I probably don't want to know how. The kids escape and report Dr. Rebos' plan to the Super Friends.
How does a person get to be so mean?
Oh, he's not a mean person at all.
Dr. Rebos is just upset that so many billions are being spent on outer space.
And he feels too little is being spent on the sick and needy right here on Earth.
But kids, Dr. Rebos is trying to bring about change in an unlawful manner.
He's not mean, but he is arrogant. He thinks that because he feels so strongly about it, he should get away with anything, and everybody on Earth should just knuckle under to his superior ideas. I do wonder how he's lived this long and still held on to such a goofy idea.
To me and my mission. No one can stop it.
No one except the Super Friends.
Master, what'll we do?
We get help. I command you, androids, stop them!
Yeah, you have fun with that. They have as many ropes as you have androids, so you might think about trying something else, like surrendering.
On the barren, bleak surface of Mars, the Superman android lands. His mission, destroy the Mars space station.
Oh, wow. Many of you know that I'm a total nut for Mars. I love everything about it. It's been that way ever since my birthday in 1976, when Viking 1 became the first human craft ever to land on another planet. Mars has several volcanoes scattered about its surface, and if they're belching smoke like that, our Superman android flew there way too fast and went back in time several million years. Mars is cold and dead. The volcanoes quit before humans even emerged on this planet. That means our android should discover that nobody has even thought about building a base here yet, because nobody exists yet. The real Superman appears and the two start fighting.
I think I'll just hold on to you, Double, until you run out of juice.
If you can call that a fight. I told Dr. Rebos not to skimp on the batteries. Back in the lab, the Super Friends are making short work of the other androids.
Master, how will it all end?
I don't know, Loco.
Marvin, are you thinking what I'm thinking?
I think so. Power off!
That should include the Superman android on Mars, though since it takes a radio signal anywhere from 4 minutes to 21 minutes to reach Mars, that one may be slower to power down. With all the fake people out of the way, they can deal with the real ones.
The important thing to remember, Dr. Rebos, is that if you're dissatisfied with the way things are, there are lawful ways to bring about change.
That's right. Through the courts or through the politicians we elect to office.
And writing to newspapers.
And how about broadcasting? Get them interested and they'll get the people to think about things.
If he had enough money to do all this, why couldn't he start a charitable program of his own?
What a shame, Dr. Rebos. You're obviously a brilliant man. If only you had used your knowledge to build rather than to destroy.
If I had another chance, I promise I would do things differently. And I'll pay for any damage I've caused.
I think that's up to the folks at the space program. Batman says they'll put in a good word for him, but the decision isn't theirs. They'll practice what they're preaching and let the proper authorities handle it from here. I say, let the punishment fit the crime. Stick him in a rocket and send him to Mars to help finish building the station. It only seems appropriate. And don't let him get away with sending an android double. That's cheating. To pull off, okay, yeah. In the Cliff or the station to that leaves me android flew man. Imagine good grief, I was so close.